right, so I'm going over the warm-up. So make sure you understand each of these problems because that is what's going to be on the quiz. All right, so remember for my inequality statement, I always want to get x by itself. I have to get x by itself, so I always have to do the opposite. So the opposite of subtracting 55 would be to add 55 to both sides. Add 55 to both sides, okay? A minus 55 and a plus 55 would cancel. So all I'm left with x, which is what I want. Bring down the symbol that's greater than, and then just add those together, and that would be 64. So x has to be greater than 64. So that means that any number that I plug in here, as long as it's greater than 64, it would be a true statement. Okay, let's go to the next one. Remember, if the number is right next to the variable, that is a multiplication problem. So the opposite of multiplying by 8 would be to divide each side by 8. Divide by 8. These will cancel out, so I'm left with x. Bring down your sign, less than, and that is 15. So x has to be greater than 15. Oh, sorry, that's less than. X has to be less than 15. All right, over here, I want to get x by itself, so I get rid of the plus 9. The opposite of adding 9 would be to subtract 9 from both sides. These will cancel, so I'm left with x is less than or equal to 18. All right, so that's solving for an inequality, finding all the solution numbers. Okay. All right, so if I want to identify, okay, so always when you make your graph, put a variable, I always do x, and then look at your number. My number is at 5, okay? Then you just have to decide which symbol to put in there. It's going this direction, so that is less than. It is an open dot, so I leave it that way. So x is less than 5. Okay, come over here. X, put your number. The number right between 2 and 4 would be 3. It's going that direction. That is my greater numbers. And it is colored in, so I need the line underneath it. So x has to be greater than or equal to 3. Right, so now writing inequality statements. No more than 14 players to play in the tournament. So write your variable, write your number. That's the very first thing. Then you've got to figure out which symbol to put in there, greater than or less than. Okay, so no more than, that means it can't be more than 14. It can't be more. So that means it has to be less than 14. And then your question is, could it be exactly 14? Well, it just said not more than 14, so it could be 14. So you have to have the or equal. So x has to be less than or equal to 14. Let's go to the next one. There are at least 95 people in the lunchroom. So write your variable, write your number. Then you find your keywords, at least. So at least, be very careful. That word least makes you think it's small, but that means that is the smallest number it could be. That's the smallest number it could be, but it can be greater. Okay, so it could be greater than 95, or it could be exactly 95. Okay, if all else fails, you can use your little half sheet that I gave you with all the keywords, or there's an anchor chart on the board that you can use. Okay, if all else fails, look at that. All right, so on your quiz, you may use any notes that you have. You may use any notes that you have. Okay, all right, take your time to work on the notes, or sorry, on your quiz. Once you are finished with your quiz, then you may move to Desmos. All right? All right. I know you'll be on your best behavior. I know you'll get things done. This is your first quiz of the 4th quarter. All right. Have a great day, guys.